Well, since I couldn't sleep, I decided I'd make some videos of recent subjects. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. Uh, I was in the spiritual room and a guy asked a question about how many people had a near-death experience and saw hell, which is a good topic because I'd heard stories about people having a near-death experience and they were shown hell. But I learned about hell directly from an angel, you know. One day my angel visited me. I can't remember if if it was during high school or after college. But I asked the angel, do hell exist? And the angel couldn't understand what I was talking about. So I spent about an hour trying to explain to the angel about hell. So then I thought about it. I looked over and saw my Bible. So I grabbed my Bible. I said, this. I handed it to the angel. She touched it. Just that quick, she read the whole Bible. And it was a thick Bible. And I never forgot. I never forgot that day. Because she smiled and smirked. And you rarely see emotion from angels. They get directly to the point, they strictly business and no sideshow. But she smiled and smirked. And she say, you humans think so less of God. Do y'all actually think God will punish his children and his creation by putting them in a fiery pit for eternity? And I said, well, that what the Bible say. And to be honest, she didn't even know what the Bible was. That's why I had to go get the Bible, because I keep telling her about the Bible, and she kept saying, what is this Bible you talking about? What is a Bible? I say, the Bible. God's words. And she told me. She said, I can assure you that God had nothing whatsoever to do with this so-called Bible thing. She said, I read y'all Bible. She said, very interesting. And they're only 10% true. She said, but that 10% is worth reading it for. But you just have to figure out what's real and what's not. But it's worth reading for that 10%. She said, but that was written. And governments all around the world use it as a control mechanism to give people fear and consciousness. She say, if Earth didn't have a conscience, can you imagine the catastrophe would have happened? If no one had a conscience? She say that book, if needed, is well needed on this planet. Because human without a conscience is very dangerous, David. So it worth reading. But it has zero to do with God. It's just man making up stories to instill fear in large group of people. She say it may not look like it, but it basically government control mechanism. That's why all countries use it. Because if not, it'll be chaos. I say, well, what book do God recommend we read? She say, David, God accept any book that will make a human a better person. That will make a human have sympathy and kindness to strangers, as if they their own brother or family. So any book that can do that, God accept. Even this so-called Bible thing, which y'all say is what God wrote, God even accept that, even though He has zero to do with that, David. It's no religious. Religion is man-made, David. It's no religion on the other side. And I know she telling the truth because 30 years later, probably about 15 years later, I had a near-death experience and I was face-to-face with God. And that's the first question I asked God. What religion should we follow? And he basically he said no religion. He said you should follow the universal laws that cover every living creature and planet in the universe. In all universe. And she said the closest thing to this earthly fiery pit, so-called hell, is the closest thing we have to that in heaven is a restless soul. And I said, well, what a restless soul? She said you keep getting reborn again immediately after you die. You get no rest, and each life gets harder and harder. She said it's a possibility that you can get stuck in that one life for millions of years until you defeat what you come here for. Whether it's money weakness, whether it's lust, no matter what it is, you got to defeat that because you signed up for it and you signed a contract with God. So you'll just keep getting reborn again, no rest, no worse. And your journey get harder and harder and harder and harder each time. She said that when you see babies die at birth, or when you see babies die at an early age, that a restless soul. He gonna keep getting reborn and reborn. Your life get harder and harder. Which you end up being, they die at birth. Until they accept what they came here for and defeat it, whether it's money weakness or whatever. And that makes sense to me. Getting reborn again immediately after you born. What can be worse than that? That's hell in itself. A soul without rest. Just think of all the righteous souls, they can rest for hundreds and millions of years before they come back here. But not if you don't get that level of life credit, what you came down here for. When you give, you gain credit. When you take, you lose credit. It's simple. It's a simple system. My angel learned me about the system of credit. We get credit for prayers. We get credit for we get credit what we can use for prayers. You use them credit for prayer, and them credit also add up for eternal life. You know, you need a certain amount of credit, life credit, to get the reward, the biggest reward of all to spirits, or eternal life. It's like you at God level. You decide where you want to be, what you want to do, if you want to come back to earth, or you don't. But that my discussion with my angel about hell and the Bible. Thank you, and God bless.